In this lesson, let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at our code and talking a little bit about something called a doc type. So I've opened my favorite HTML editor, which is Dreamweaver. I happen to be using Dreamweaver CS 5.5, and I'm in the Lesson 4 folder, and I've opened the file called index.html. So I want to show you a little bit about the very top of the code. One of the things I like about Dreamweaver is I have the ability to go into split mode. So if you aren't using Dreamweaver and you just are viewing the code, this is what it would look like. And that's okay, just go to the very top line of the code. I'm using split mode so that I can actually see the design and see the code at the same time, but you can still get to it regardless of which HTML editor you're using. The very first line up here has an exclamation point and the words doc type HTML in angle brackets. That's called a doc type. In early versions of HTML, or hypertext markup language, it was very confusing and there were lots of different types of standards that weren't really formulated properly yet. So what we've got now is this little message at the top of our HTML documents that tells the browser what version of HTML we're using. Even though it just says doc type HTML, I know that it's HTML5, and let me show you where you can learn more about it or change it in your existing code. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm in Dreamweaver. I'm going to go up to Modify and go to Page Properties. And in here on the category side, if you go down this column right here and choose Title and Coding, it tells me right away that this is HTML5. So there are other ones under here that you can use, but for this particular lesson, we're using HTML5. If you were to open a brand new document, and I'm going to go up here and choose File New, or I could use the keyboard shortcut, which is Command N on a Mac, Control N on Windows, to open a brand new document, notice that Dreamweaver is giving me some options right over here under Doc Type to choose the kind of document I want to use. I'm choosing HTML5, and when I click Create, and go in and look at my code, there you can see is the doc type HTML tag at the very top here. You don't want anything in front of this, no words, spaces, or returns. This needs to be the very first thing in your code. Here I'm letting Dreamweaver do it for me. But if you're using an existing HTML file and you're changing it over to HTML5, you just want to make sure that there's nothing above it. That has to be the very first thing you see in the code. And that's a little bit about working with doc types and what the doc type for HTML5 looks like.